Brent Richno here. Today I want to share with you the importance of having iron will. Because without it, whatever the path you're going to take, eventually you will yield to the pressure or the obstacles that the path would not be optimal. And for my case, like I didn't quite understand what is this iron will, like what's the extent? Is it being the when I can test if I have the iron will or not? Because if I stubbornly just stick to that the some issue that I should just abandon, then that type of iron will is just bad stubbornness, and it didn't go anywhere. So, but then if I quit some something when it's just a part of the obstacles that I have to overcome, then I didn't. I was sort of like a timid or cowardly, that I just did not have that iron will. So it was really confusing for me, and so I went with sort of the feeling, right? Like I push something that I can't overcome, but when it gets to really difficult, really, let's say, feels overwhelming. I quit. I let it go, and some of them I'm glad that I let it go, but then some other times I wished I continued, just kept going. That's the thing about the difficulty, and since I don't have this system set up, or what it means to have an iron will in a clear term, that progress was really haphazardly. Some goes well and some didn't, but then on average it became really mediocre. So how so what is really the iron will, and how can we have this iron will, and how to use it? So iron will is relevant when it's whenever the occasion that you must not give up. That's when you can actually push it through, no matter how difficult it is. Almost like if you fail, they're just saying like, "What, die trying," right? So that same kind of mentality. If you fail, then that's the time you die, basically. You go all in. So the important thing is, okay, if you knew that then this is not something that you cannot back down, then then you can use iron will. Then we really have to think about what's the occasion, so we can actually see if we have that type of iron will already. So so generally speaking, we got to think of the long-term consequence, and or the project, or something at stake, and what if the stake is, or project, have some sort of meaning, or in the long-term consequence, like significant consequence. You can see it, right? Like if it's like a 5 years, 10 years later, you do not know what would that gonna be. But then let's say success or regret comes that late, right? Because of the action that you do right now. It's like regret comes in like, oh, 10 years later, 20 years later, right? So we have to first have, to use the iron will effectively, you really have to be able to think in the long term and see what your project or what's at stake in the merit, not just right now, but in the future. And if it's something that you might regret, it's a great test. Just imagine right before you die, and if you look back, and then the choice that you didn't make, or you quit, if you regret, then that's the time you got to use iron will to get through that obstacle, no matter what kind of pressure you're getting from other people, or how difficult mentally or physically, you just kind of figure it out to overcome it using your iron will. Just try it again, different ways, ask people, whatever. But then you got to get that thing right. How about like if you are like timid, like worry a lot, or like naturally introvert, right? So the good thing about the iron will is it doesn't really matter if you're introvert or extrovert. It's not a matter of temperament. It is your will. So you can always bring up that strength. And how you gonna like, let's say, train that iron will if you don't have it, if you're like always timid, if you kind of back down and stuff, right? Then one of the important like a supporting thing and extremely powerful is whatever you do, know why. Like especially that the project or whatever that you're working on, think of it like why you're doing it, right? Like, okay, I'm doing it because X, Y, and Z. It's like, for instance, like, oh, I'm doing this to be successful and then support my family, or help somebody. Those kind of things gives you a lot of power, and then support your iron will. Or like you might think like, okay, if I give up, then I can't live myself, or something along the line, right? Like, give yourself a reason, and then the more you think like this, like have the mindset, and then keep challenging yourself in a daily life, like some small thing, small obstacles, you challenge yourself will, okay, even if you don't want to do it, you're doing it because it's a right thing to do. It's a moral thing to do. It's not just the expedience or convenience, but it's just, and then you might hurt in the short term, but then you know that in the long term, that your behavior and action will benefit greatly. That type of things you will encounter. I would say quite frequently, but you will encounter once in a while in various degrees. So you can always practice. And you might say like, oh, this is kind of hard, like difficult, and do I really need it? You really need iron will, because I think it's a human nature that we get into some sort of like a conflict. It is just because it's not like people want to fight each other. It's more like just everybody has their own perspectives. So everybody has a different notion of truth, and and then in certain situation you have to hush out the truth. You have to sort of verbally, right? Verbally hash it out, like say things A says in B, and then negotiate, use some sort of like a pressure tactics or whatever we do. And in this type of situation, if you really want to get what you want, let's say without like alienating other people for long term, you have to have a solid iron will to control. Okay, another important thing about iron will is to control your emotion. You generally we quit because you get frustrated and all that, right? Getting tired, getting bored, that type of things are emotion. Okay, and or you might want to just procrastinate. How are you gonna not succumbs to those negative emotions is to you can use a lot of like a different type of mental tricks, but at the end of the day your iron will have to push it to make your mindset into that direction. There's no way around it. You cannot be passive to just wait for something, for the inspiration, so to speak. You have to generate this type of will to do things, to perform, so to speak. And you got to be careful about the iron will, right? Like you don't want it to have an iron will towards something that you are definitely wrong, right? Being stubborn, like if you have clearly like wrong, probably you might not notice it clearly wrong. Let's say you discussed and you know something's not right, but then since you double down already, or because of the ego, you just sort of cling to it. Like a lot of sunken cost fallacy, right? Like that type of things is a kind of similar situation. Like you put in a lot of work already, so you can't quit. You just double down to the losing games that eventually it's going to lose. So that's actually you're not necessarily like using iron will in a wrong right way. It's more like you're not using iron will. You're indulging yourself into some sort of like a negative emotional state. So I think the confusion of iron will and with that some kind of stubbornness, that's the things I want you to be careful. And the same sort of things, our will is not to be reckless. It means it's like it's not clearly not going to work, right? For instance, like it violates your like the laws of physics, or that your ability is far below what you're trying to accomplish, and that you don't have even a process to even get there or strategy to get there. You're just saying things. I mean, that type of things, and making a bold promise is just it's not really a iron will. It's more like your boastfulness, arrogance, or pride, or even insecurity, somewhere on the way. So yeah, these kind of feelings are nothing to do with iron will. Iron will is really the you can think of it as a solid base, like a immovable mountain that has in yourself, that you can always rely on to push yourself when the right things that you have to do, no matter what. And can it last, right? Like, can you, if you do it like iron will so much, are we gonna get burned out or anything? No, it would not. It's just because if you're doing in it right thing, right, like a good direction, most of the time life will get easier. It is just when it comes to a certain time that you notice, world gets chaotic, unexpected things happen, tragedy happens, things of nature. Then that's the time you have to use this like exclusively. But then other than that, in a sense, iron will work in your background to support you. And the great thing about that really iron will is when you have this external opinions, like factors, all of them become suggestions, because you can trust yourself, and you can fully take charge of your life and have solid confidence to act whenever necessary for the best, for not just you but for everybody around you, at least the people that you care, right? I mean, some misguided people, if you're doing the right thing, they will later notice that okay, this is not a good thing, so it's benefiting in any ways. So that's the important thing. And with iron will, you can lead the life that it is truly fulfilling. Thank you for watching. Please share your ideas in the comment section below to help each other, and hit like and the subscribe buttons so you get notified of the next video. See you next time.